Okay, welcome back to What If History Restarted. It's episode 61. Last time, I do not remember anything that happened. So, yeah. Maybe the Mexico thing was that episode, I'm not sure. But anyway, in this episode, we're gonna continue to see tensions rise around the world, which has been going on for a while, and it will continue to happen now. And we're gonna start over here in North America, where this, North California country is kind of failing economically. Things are just not going well here. It's going to get to the point where there is a full-on rebellion that starts over in this city. If we can get it right. So these guys want, a new economic system because the North Californians are kind of they try to be, independent, but that's not working out very well, and it's really annoying to some people because one of the strongest economic powerhouses in the world is right to their south. So, yeah. But anyway, these guys are going to do this and connect up with California, well, actual California, and eventually they're going to take the capital of the country, and from there it's going to surrender. And we don't see any new countries be created, but we essentially see a change in policies in this country, as now it is much more dependent on California especially, but also the prairie country and just the rest of North America, and maybe Baikal or this Chinese country or South China or something. But anyway, going back over here right again. We still have the two big alliances here, but as you can tell, the Pentagon Alliance is definitely struggling a little bit in terms of amount of members, which is not good for them. So they basically just go over to this orange country and are like, hey, if you join, we'll give you a bunch of money, and that's good enough for them. So they accept. Bam. Now the Pentagons are slightly stronger, although this one would probably just act more as a distraction for these three countries to have to get out first before moving on to these guys. What would you even call this? Nevada or Utah maybe? Because I think that's the Great Salt Lake, so I guess it would be Utah. In the prairie country, it's probably, both sides definitely want to get them in, but they're choosing to remain neutral. And the same goes for whatever you would call this. I guess it's kind of Canada, kind of New England. I'm not sure. Yeah. Over here, these guys still own this piece of Cuba, but eventually there's going to be some votes over here, and this part chooses to stay in part of them. So that's a little bit annoying to the Bahamas country, who thinks that they should have this area. And that's definitely not good for tensions between these guys and the Bahamas, but this is the strongest country in the Americas versus the Bahamas. So, it's not too big of an issue to them. Mexico is, of course, still very angry at the Green country for not having access to the Pacific Sea, because they used to own that. But now they kind of got scammed out of it. I guess you could say scammed. Maybe. Here, the Baja California country has kind of just been chilling for a really long time, but we're actually going to see them do something, even though it's something very minor. But they're actually going to buy some land over from this country. They just want this land because they want more control over the Gulf of... Is this the Gulf of California? It might be. They would obviously prefer to have, this, which is the entryway, but... well, first of all, it's going to be kind of hard to even maintain anything there anyway. And also, that's right outside the capital, so probably not happening anytime soon. And now it had to just go and make this harder. Just move it right there. That's good enough. This country looks terrible. I mean, look at that border gore. Oh, that's 3 countries. You get what I mean. And, yeah. And it's probably all of North America for now. Yeah, just a reminder, though, just, lot of defenses on this border between the prairie country and Canada, / New England, / whatever. But anyway, we have the expansionist red country down here, who's been actually doing a pretty good job at expanding. They want more. And this weird country, I used to call it the former Egyptian colony, because that's what it is, but like that's kind of a stupid name, so I guess it could be Uruguay. It's a very, very big Uruguay. But Uruguay is probably, or definitely the strongest country in South America right now, which is slightly concerning to the other countries, especially as they now kind of are like abusing the other countries in the Aero Economic Alliance by like, hoarding all the funds for themselves. And whenever these guys try to say that they can't do that, they're like, well, we're the strongest countries and we could kill you, so like don't just go with it. And yeah, these guys are finally going to put their foot down and actually kick them out of the alliance here, which is annoying to them, because they did threaten that they were going to attack these countries, and they actually were being serious about that. And so a small invasion gets pushed in over here, and obviously the Aero Alliance is very surprised because they thought they were bluffing. But the thing is, so did most of their civilians, and even a lot of their government. It's pretty much just the president and like a few of his closest advisors who actually wanted to invade for real. Nearly everyone else just wanted to bluff. So pretty quickly that president gets, impeached. And they're like, okay, we are sorry, we'll take our people out of you. And as some pay, and to, make things even again, they will donate some land over to them as a little gift. And so that's that. These guys still definitely don't like each other anymore, and even less so now that that whole catastrophe happened. But at least they're not actively at war. If we were to look at like the strongest countries in South America, as I just said, this one would be one. Followed by that, I think there's a few good options, probably either Brazil, Peru, or the expansionist country. But I think I'd actually put Brazil at 2, and then Peru at 3, and the expansionist country at 4, and then like Colombia at 5, and Chile at 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, although these guys really can't be invaded because they are the Amazon rainforest. That's not too fun to invade. So yeah, anyway, these guys' main competitors are definitely Brazil, Peru, and the expansionist country, and they have a border with all of them. The only thing is, though, that the expansionist country and the Aero Alliance, including Brazil, hate each other, and Peru is kind of neutral with both sides, so it's not too bad for these guys. And I'm starting to really hate their color because you can barely see the major cities. Like, they have quite a few, but you can barely even tell because they're like the same color. But oh well. Not changing it now. Anyway, pretty unexpectedly, the expansionist country and Chile go to war. Now, surprisingly, this actually wasn't just an act of aggression by the expansionist country, but it's just because, Chile, it's kind of just a preemptive strike from Chile because they felt like they were going to get invaded soon anyway, and so they didn't want to, they didn't want to be the one to get attacked, and if a war was inevitable, then they might as well be the one to start it. But pretty quickly, as you can tell, the expansionist country got ready and started throwing out its troops, even taking a major city, but Chile does the same, and these guys are going to be like, okay, now we can actually, get some land. The thing is, because, everyone else is scared of them, pretty much every other country, like all the Aero Alliance, and probably Peru and Chile as well, have kind of told them, like, you're not allowed to expand anymore because we don't want you to get too strong. So it's not really like a full official alliance between these countries, but it's just kind of like an agreement that if this guy starts getting a little too rowdy, then like all of these countries will attack them. And so these guys are unfortunately not going to be able to do that. But a country that is going to be able to do that is the southern Argentine country down here, who has been who's lost a lot of their land to Peru, has lost a lot of their land to the expansionist country in the past. Um, they've also lost land to Chile. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think it might have been the expansionist country and Chile that tag teamed them. But they need to choose at least one side, and the expansionist country is less liked, so they might as well get their reputation up a little. But yeah, with that, things start going pretty well over here. Except the expansionist country has a very strong military, and so they were quickly able to push Chile's preemptive strike out, and then they pushed this out, although that did somewhat require them to pull back on troops over here in Chile, but they managed to hold on to this major city. Their southern area is still fallen. There are a lot of naval battles over here for the Falklands, but they are able to retain them. And the war kind of goes into stalemate for a while until they go ahead and make a big old push down here. So all of a sudden, just a nice little spear hand and take over all of this land. From there, they push out again here. I guess we could make this a slightly different color to, show that's a different invasion. Bam. Bam. Well, into a different country. And yeah, things now are looking pretty good for these guys, now that their military is fully mobilized. And the Uruguay is pretty much saying, like, hey guys, if you let me in this war, I would probably, be able to wipe these guys off the map. But these guys are still very suspicious of these guys, since, they did just literally invade them a second ago. Well, maybe like a few months ago. And, they don't want them to get even stronger. So they're still prohibiting them from doing it. But eventually, the Argentine country does push back the expansionist country by a little bit, until eventually the war comes to a stalemate and they need to agree on a peace treaty, because everybody is threatening to revolt, and all their populations are threatening to revolt. So in this peace treaty, the Argentine country will get back all of their southern land, but not the Falklands. They will, however, be losing a decent amount of land up here, including this major city, over to the expansionist country. And this is the border decided between the expansionist country and Chile. So now the expansionist country has access to the Pacific, which is slightly concerning for everybody, but oh well. And anyway, this is the new map of South America, which probably looks a little bit better, except, this maybe, but no, that's the same color as that, so, yeah, that also just doesn't look that good. Oh well. But anyway, moving on from the Americas, finally, we're probably going to come down here to Africa next, which there's going to be a pretty simple thing going on here. But as you can see, this country does not have all of their religious lands, and that is, a little bit of an issue. So they're just going to be, but they're pretty much like campaigning for like a strip here. I mean, it's not, they don't have like an exact boundary defined, but it's just, roughly this area. And Cambodia doesn't really want to give it up, but they also don't want to have to fight a war. So after a pretty close vote, they are going to agree to just give it up to them. And so they do end up getting they do get their little strip of land here. I don't know why that exists. So great for them, this country. Anyway, over here, once again looking at the religion layer, we have this kind of weird little like ethnic group down here. It's kind of just isolated. It might be even like a subset of the Egyptian. Like, it might be like Egyptian, but like a little bit more culturally aligned with like the more indigenous people, because Egypt's kind of more aligned with like the Europeans and all that. So yeah, we have this weird little ethnic group that no one really knows or cares about here. They want some recognition. However, they obviously are part of a colony. So if we just give me a second, we can see that many, many years ago, there was a country, this green one, that kind of intersected them. And obviously that might look like that's a very small part of the ethnicity, but if we go ahead and turn this off, you can see that the green country owned this major city over by this lake, which is by far the largest city in this country. That one's like pretty close to being a vital city. Meanwhile, this one is barely even a major city. So, yeah, this green country had actually like a very good amount of the population over here, especially considering that, along with that city, there's also all the people living down here, which was the most densely populated area. So that green country had a lot of its people be part of this country. So naturally, we're going to see them end up revolting over by this lake. And now, of course, why is that not working? Oh, because it's on the city layer. That would explain it. So yeah, these people start revolting over by the lake. And now, that is a lot of green countries in Africa, but oh well. There's a slight issue for these guys, which is that they are completely surrounded. However, they have a lot of people. So as they start marching in over here, which, wow, they are very similar. But anyway, they still are not able to reconnect up here because Tuscany now starts to send down their troops. However, there is one thing that's in their favor, which is the massive Sahara Desert forces France/Tuscany to go all the way around here. So they are able to start doing a pretty good amount up here. Probably about that big, until Tuscany's troops arrive, and then from there they get crushed. And so that rebellion does get kind of crushed, which, it probably, I still guess I did need to pull up that old map to show that was the people, but I guess I really kind of didn't, because it just showed that there was people there, but, oh well. But yeah, even though that rebellion did get crushed, it spread a whole lot of instability over in, like, this broad region. And of course, this southern area down here has always been very unstable and hard to control. As you can see, they spit out a slightly even more rebellious area over here already. Well, I'm not sure who that was. It might have been you. It might have been you. Probably was both of you. Probably was split down the middle, but whatever. But yeah, so a lot more instability is now spread out down here, which is slightly concerning for them. And yeah. However, things aren't good. Things aren't all good for the colonies, because over in this one, they aren't doing too well because they have a lot of corruption, and everyone kind of hates the government, including the government, because there's two main sides and a whole lot of other small factions, and there's a lot of, obviously, this is only, major ethnicities. Obviously, there's, because, this is not that many, so it's obviously, a lot. There's obviously a ton of, smaller ethnicities scattered throughout. But yeah, so between the smaller ethnicities, there's definitely some, fighting and, maybe a little bit of genocide and cultural, or what's it called? Cultural wiping or something? Completely forget what it's called. I don't know. You probably know what I'm talking about, but if not, it doesn't really matter. Because, yeah, all you need to know is that this guy breaks out into civil war pretty quickly. I don't know why Tuscany still owns that. And it is especially apparent up here in the north. Kind of running out of colors here. Because over in the far northern reaches of this country is the main part of the rebellion. But we still have some other rebellions breaking out, such as over in this rural eastern area. That's what it's called. I don't like that color. Sure. And finally, probably one more down over here in the south. And that's kind of close to the ocean. As you can see. Make it like that, I guess. But yeah, these guys are very close to the capital, which is mildly concerning. And these guys are also doing their things, and they capture this major city. Because honestly, these guys are probably stronger than the mainland country itself. Which obviously kind of allows for that rural country to start doing things. And then eventually that just kind of leads to this country fully collapsing. And thankfully these three guys are, able to cooperate with each other. So we are able to see a peace treaty get worked out. So first of all, we have this country up here. Which, I'm just going to save this color for later. I'll just make it a little blob in the ocean. There. So up here, How do I even go about this? Shroom. There we go. See, we have this country up here. Yeah, this nice little circle, because that would look nice, I guess. And they're going to come all the way down here, but maybe not that thickly. Probably a little bit more like this, but I don't like that. I also kind of just don't like that look, but I guess it's going to have to stay. And also capitals, that's right. It's going to be its major city. Then we have this rural country, which is going to be very long, and their capital is going to be over there. And as for their actual borders, they are going to be looking something like this, which is interesting. Maybe I'll give these guys this or something. I guess that kind of helps maybe a little bit. Give them this thing down there. And then finally I have this one, which is actually, pretty small. Most of this land is mostly just them, invading stuff because they needed to, get the support of the people in those areas, as well as, just beat up the government so that they could actually cede from the Union. And their country is going to be pretty small. By pretty small, I mean very small. They are literally just this little square down here. But I don't like squares, so let's try and make it a little bit less square. I guess that'll have to do. And the capital's going to be right there. So yeah, this country got kind of exploded, but they are still a thing, just small. And I will give them a few major cities because I feel bad. I think 3 is, oh no, I'm only going to do 2. Speaking of major cities, I think I'll give this guy one, and this guy a few. Who else needs one? You. Anyone else? Not especially. Don't think so. Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, this guy probably is pretty rural anyway, so that's good for them. But, yeah. So now this is our new borders of Africa, which are starting to look extremely terrible, but that's fine. Now, this country is really annoying me. Like, maybe I should just not make them that long. I could do, like, a nice little... let's just redefine these borders, because I don't like them. I'm gonna do it like this. Then we're gonna do it like that. And, you know what? We're gonna say that these guys split in 2. Because, yeah, sure, why not? Just couldn't figure out how to make the government work, and so they couldn't just fix that disagreement and had to split in 2. Why not? There. And we have a lot of countries in this world. Do we have 197? You know what? Let's count. Okay, if my counting is correct, we have 138 countries currently, which is pretty good. We're getting up there. By the time decolonization finishes, we might have 197. Probably not, though. Actually, now that I look at it, we really don't have that many colonies left. So unless we can fit, let's see here. Let's get all this land. Bam. So unless in, like, these territories we can fit, 59 countries? We need 59 countries in here to get up to 197. So, yeah. We'll see if we can do that, because I kind of doubt it. But, yeah, actually, I do think that is going to be the end of this video. So, mostly it's the Americas and Africa, which are, like, the more, like, New World-y areas, I guess. But we'll get on with, like, they're like the former colonies, We'll get on with, like, the juicy stuff, which is Europe and Asia, next episode. So, yeah.